Card reading is one of the most popular ways to use your intuition, whether you're reading for someone else or reading for yourself. And there's a few reasons why, which I'm going to cover in this session today. But most importantly, what I want to leave you with in this session, whether you are a beginner, an intermediate, or you've been using cards for a very long time, is a few concepts, ideas, and techniques to help you do your card readings with more efficiency, more accuracy, and a whole lot more intuitive information coming through. And this video is one out of 12 different techniques that I'm going to cover in an upcoming series starting with this video. So if you haven't subscribed yet, please hit subscribe. Also, you're going to want to hit the notification button so when the next one in the series comes out, you get access to it. Card reading is a very popular way to use your intuition. Very popular. As a matter of fact, when I first started doing readings back in 2007, I used cards almost every single session. And there's a couple quirky little reasons why people love to use cards when they do sessions for other people and for themselves as well. And I'm going to cover those today. I don't use them so much anymore, but I can tell you one thing. I still use them for guidance for myself, and you'll understand why once we get into those reasons. I also use them a couple times a month in the Sage Circle membership community because I'll go in and I'll do live card readings in there as well, and that's just so much fun. I absolutely love it. So I still use cards on the regular. I just don't use them in a professional setting. But for some people, it's just a staple for them and they are able to just fall into the cards, and it's so connective when they read for others. For some people, all of those same things happen for themselves, but maybe not for others. So there's a lot of different things you need to try when it comes to using cards. Now, beyond the reasons why people use them, I also want to cover for beginners, intermediates, and people who have been using cards for a very long time. I want to cover a technique that's going to challenge you a little bit, maybe a lot. It's good. So if you've never read cards before and you want to try, this is a perfect technique to use. If you've been reading them for a long time, this is a perfect technique to add to your tool belt when it comes to, bringing out the cards in a session for yourself or for someone else. Now, many times when I do sessions like this, people will reach out and say, hey, do you have a course on this? Yes, I do. I do have a course on this. I have a card reading course. It is 3 hours in length though. So it goes very deep into card readings, and it has a number of techniques in there that really take card reading to the next level. Now that course is one of a bundle of courses called the 12 Specialized Course Series. That bundle is a very popular. So if you're listening to this session, you might already have it. You might. So if you've got the 12 course bundle, that's where you find the card reading. Jump into your account. You can log right on in there and watch all 3 hours of the card reading. But I am putting the bundle on sale as of the time that this session is filmed. So I wanted to make sure to let people know and remind you that if you've already bought that 12 bundle course, that specialized courses, you do have this card reading course. So if you want to go even deeper, that's the perfect course to go into. If you don't have it yet, it's really popular. If you don't have it yet, I'll put a link in here. Now, when it comes to card reading, like I said, I want to start with some of the reasons. And I want to start with the most popular reason that a lot of people don't talk about. The most popular reason a lot of us use cards especially when we read for someone else, is because when you sit down to do a reading for someone else, if it's not over the phone, if it's in person or on Zoom or something like this, it can be awkward. A lot of readers are very compassionate, very caring. That typically also comes with a personality type of being very humble, sometimes shy, behind the scenes. Am I hitting some points here that are resonating? And card reading is this really cool way where you can lay cards out in front of someone or show them a card that you're reading, and they'll focus on the card instead of you. Now, this is simply a way to kind of avoid that awkwardness within yourself as the reader, feeling that someone is staring at you, waiting for the information to come through. And that happens. That's part of reading. And there's a small percentage of people that it doesn't bother them very much to have someone staring at them, waiting for information. But for a lot of us, including myself, especially in the beginning, that was kind of uncomfortable. So people, shyly admit that when they use cards, which are also helpful in getting information, absolutely getting information from them, but it also helps in that it takes the attention off of them, the reader, and puts the attention on the cards and gives them a little space to kind of breathe and feel a little less awkward. So if that resonates with you, I just want you to hear today that you're not alone. You're not alone. It's super common. Super common. And it's a fantastic technique if you're awkward and you're not the first person in line to get center stage and get all, be right in everyone's viewpoint. If you're kind of a behind the scenes person, please feel free to use cards. Use them with, the intent of reading them intuitively, but use the cards to kind of put something out there to draw the attention a little bit away from you and give yourself that space to breathe and be able to receive information. Because when we're nervous as a reader, when we are tense or when we're uncomfortable, that blocks the intuitive channel. So even though I'm kind of talking about this quirky, awkward thing that a lot of readers do that we don't talk about too much, even though I'm talking about it, it's actually a technique to help you get more intuition coming through because you're less stressed, you're less feeling awkward, you're less uncomfortable, and you're relaxed more. It's in that relaxed state that most of the information can get through. Now, that's one reason people use cards. The other reason, and these will just be the two that I cover in this session today, but the other fun reason is it is a fantastic way to get you out of your way. It's fantastic. It's fantastic. It is card reading is something that you can use to get confirmations, double check something, get more insight around something that's come through intuitively. So it's absolutely wonderful to receive intuitive information directly. You hear it, you feel it, you see it, or you just know it. But it's really neat to have that physical component that you can pull a card out and lay it down and go, okay, what's some more input on this information? So it's a great way to double check. It's a great way to get yourself out of your own way and have something outside of you presenting something in such a way that you can't make that up or like skew it out of worry or intent or something like this. Because if you've been watching my channel or listening to my channel for a while, you know that one of the big keys to intuition is being able to temporarily set aside the fear, set aside the worry, and be in that state of confidence and relaxed and calm. That's where your intuitive channel can just roll with it. But we can block it when we tense up or we get worried or we get concerned or our personal intent gets in the way. So those are the two reasons I'll cover today in this session. I also want to jump into really kind of the meat of this whole session, which is a technique that I absolutely love. A lot of people aren't talking about it. It's not an overly popular technique, but it is so valuable. And it's one of those techniques that I've come across in my years of teaching where I've thought, I wish everyone knew this. Like, I wish everyone knew this technique, because if they did, right, it could just explode their card reading abilities. So let's get into it. When it comes to reading cards, my absolute favorite technique is, I use a couple different terms for it, like a deep dive into the image, or a falling into the card, or just releasing everything and allowing through the visual of the card. These are all different ways to say this technique. But the bottom line is, many times we don't know that we're being blocked by hints, words, numbers, symbols, a guidebook that says this card means just this, right? And when we let go of all of those, and I'll talk about how today, but when we let go of all of those, we're unleashed. We are unleashed. We are released. We are not limited. There is nothing that says this means this and this means this. Now, I do need to interject here about tarot, because tarot is magnificent. Tarot reading is wonderful, it's magnificent, but it does have a set of guidelines and a set of rules that are really valuable and important for a reason. Tarot has been around for so long, and these patterns and these rules is too tough of a way to say it, but the patterns of tarot, this card means this card means this card means this, has been around for so long and has established into our energetic system that it is very accurate. So when it comes to doing tarot readings, following those instructions is very valuable, because it's that same thing. People say, well, as the veil, during Samhain or Halloween or whatever you want to call that end of October time, beginning of November. It's the same thing when people say, is the veil really thin? Yes, it is. Why? Because for so many years, so many people stepped into the belief of the veil being thin. And it is. So it is. And that's the same with tarot. It's been, the meaning of the different cards in tarot have been going on for so long that it just is. And it's very beautiful. Tarot card readings are incredible. This session is focused on oracle cards, meaning any card that is not tarot. These could be animal cards, angel cards, just artistic cards, anything that is not labeled tarot. I will say, you can use tarot cards with the technique that I'm going to talk about here, that I'm talking about. You can use tarot cards with this technique. You absolutely can. But I did want to just take this moment in this minute to honor tarot for the amazing thing that it is. It really is. But if you're just starting, if you've been doing card readings for a while, I highly suggest getting an oracle deck, meaning a deck of cards that's not based in tarot, but is more free-flowing, right? Even those, if we get right back into the blocks, even those you're going to find have words on them, have numbers on them, have descriptions on them. These are, imagine them as like fences. They're fencing you in when you look at that card to say, okay, well, this card means this because it says this. And yeah, it can go both ways. Yeah, now it does mean that because it does say that. So I can see how that all aligns. But it limits you. You're limited to that meaning. You're limited to that phrase. You're limited to that guidebook, which tells you exactly what each card means. So here's your challenge. Don't look at the guidebook. I would love to tell you to throw the guidebook away, but I know that makes people's feathers ruffle a little bit. So I'm not going to tell you to throw it away, but I'm going to tell you to try not using it for a while, or throw it away, or try not using it for a while. Also try to kind of disconnect from the word on the card or the number on the card, and instead dive into the imagery. Dive into the imagery. Let yourself just fall into it. What happens when you do? What happens when you let go of the word on the card, of the description of the card, of the guidebook, of the number, and you just let yourself get drawn into a particular part of the card that's like pulling you in? Let it pull you. Let it pull you, and let yourself just go with it. Say what you see, feel, and hear. Allow yourself to experience your intuition. This is really important when it comes to this technique for card reading. Allow yourself to experience your intuition in any way that it wants to express itself. Meaning, if you've been doing card readings for a while and everything is very visual for you, but yet you try this technique and you say, okay, I'm just going to let go of the meaning of the card. I'm going to let go of everything, and I'm just going to look at the image, and whatever pulls me in, I'm going to go with it. Your intuition might connect with you differently with this technique than the way it has connected with you in previous techniques that you've been using. And I'll talk about how to do this as an absolute beginner as well. Even though that seems kind of obvious at this point, let's just interject right here. As an absolute beginner, don't even look at the book. Don't even look at the book. Pick a card, cover the word. Just what is the story that's unfolding for you? What's happening when you look at that visual? But now, back to my point. When you allow yourself to fall in to the card, you might experience your intuition in a different way. This is the key to this technique working. This is one of the keys to this technique working, is when you're open to that, you might actually experience your intuition differently using this technique. Meaning, if you've always seen everything, if it's always been visual for you and you try this technique, you might hear something, or you might feel something, or you might have a knowledge or a memory or something pop up that is telling you something. So it's very important with this. When we're done with this session, I want you to go and try this. Pick just one card and know that it's very important to forget about the word on the card, forget about the description, forget what you've ever known that card to mean, especially if you're a more advanced reader, and just let yourself fall into the image. Where do you go? What happens? What do you smell? What do you hear? What do you feel? These are all important messages for you. Now, this technique works for all three, and beginner, I kind of interjected there for a moment about beginner. If you're a beginner, this is the best video you could be watching. This is the best session you could be listening to because you have no old habits. Just go right on in. Just completely unleash yourself into the image. What you're doing is you're allowing all possibilities to come through, and not just the possibilities that are limited by the guidebook. Not just the possibilities that are that are limiting you through the word that's on the card. If you let yourself fall into the image and be open to anything happening, you can kind of put two and two together how much more information you can get reading cards this way. Now, I don't want you to discount the way that you've read cards, but perhaps if you're intermediate or advanced, perhaps this is something you add on to your, like I said, your card reading tool belt, right? Or toolbox. Add it on. Use cards the way you've always used them, but then allow yourself to sort of step back and look back in the card again and be like, okay, I'm just gonna, from scratch, I'm just gonna start over here and I'm gonna look into this imagery again, and where does it take me? Where do I fall into it? What's the thing that pops out? Why is there a book in there, but it doesn't look like a book? For some reason, I'm looking at the book that's in the image, but it seems like it's not a book, it's a building. Go with it. Wherever it takes you, go with it. The brilliance of this technique, in addition to being an unlimited technique, in addition to being the type of technique that allows your intuition so many more opportunities to express itself, the really cool thing about this is that every time you read that card, it can be completely different. If you have a deck of 60 cards, you have a deck of an infinite number of cards now, not just 60, where this one means this one means this one means this. You now have an infinite supply of just painted, beautiful images that will allow you to receive messages that your guides, your loved ones, and source want you to receive. That's what I love about this technique. So give it a try. Pick a deck and pick one card. If you need a base question to start with, use my favorite one, which is, what is it you want me to know? And then pick a card out of the deck. Let yourself fall into the image. Let anything happen intuitively for you, and take note. Take note of, do you feel something? Do you hear something? Do you smell something? Do you taste something? Do you see something? What is happening? And let all 5 of your senses have access to that intuitive channel. So your intuitive channel has this unlimited ability to deliver the messages that it wants to deliver to you. Now, if you do want to go deeper, like I said, I do have the card reading course. It's 3 hours in length, so it's very detailed. And there's a lot more techniques and kind of more intricate stuff in that course. If you already have the 12 specialized courses bundle, it's in there. Just log into your account. It's very popular, so if you're listening to the session, you very well might already have it. If not, like I said, I'll put a link below. And most importantly, have fun with it. We are just kicking off a series. This is a series of 12. This is the first one. In the meantime, while you wait for the next one to come out, check out this next video here. It's going to be the perfect video for you to start amping up that intuition.